2조에서 발표 영상이 나왔어요.
아이고, 마케팅 전략 재무 오퍼까지 14분 만에.
어머 세상에. 내용 구성까지 완벽하네.
아이고,
자신있게 제출합니다.
이제 저희의 뜨끈한 발표 영상을 들어보세요.
We are going to tell you how should CJ Jeoljadang should react in terms of financing, operation, marketing, and strategy, respectively.
CJ is currently thinking of 1,000 billion won for the HMR market. However, investing indiscriminately on HMR could be risk-taking as CJ's product is highly dependent to price of raw materials. Hence, to invest wisely, financial analysis is essential. To correctly analyze the profitability of the investment, we needed standard yield of the firm, which is also known as weighted average cost of capital. For cost of equity, we used capital asset pricing model. In order to neutralize the effect of corona, we used the data from recent 5 years. We found the geometric mean of Kospi's and sovereign bonds profitability to calculate market risk premium and risk-free rates. Beta of the firm was also based on 5 years data of Kospi and CJ. For cost of debt, we referred to the interest rate according to the credit rating of corporate bonds. With this data, we calculated the approximate value of WACC, which was 3.29%. Since we have the standard profitability, we have to decide the form of the investment for sound capital structure, whether to book the investment as equity or debt. In order to find this, we used research data from Korea Ratings, which is one of the leading credit rating agencies. We calculated the rate of change in borrowing dependence in response to changes in credit ratings. Then, with the rates, we applied them to debt and equity ratio of CJ and followings. To revise the cost of equity due to change in beta, we utilized Hamada's equation. In conclusion, we find that CJ's share of debt is extremely high compared to recommendable share. So, adjusting debt ratio through liquidation as recommendable and 1,000 billion won of the investment should be done in the form of equity.
We set the net working capital level to 30% of total sales revenue, referring to the renowned investor Walter J. Schultz's suggestion on profitable firm. In order to decide whether to make the investment, we first made an assumption on the average growth rate and market share of CJ in the domestic HMR market based on historical data of last 5 years of market growth, which was 12.79% and 2.48% for each. We assumed that the revenue ratio between domestic and global market will stay similar for the case. The rest of the information was based on relative figures from consolidated financial statements of CJ Jeoljadang as the representative. As we calculated the NPV for the project, we could see positive value, which proved to be worth investing 1,000 billion won. However, since we had limited market information, such as market data that has consistent standard of HMR and too simplified way of forecasting, estimation itself can be inaccurate, which make us require more scenarios for actual forecasting.
In this part, I will introduce how CJ is doing in terms of operation management dimension. First, manufacturing process. CJ Food Producing Factory adopts assembly line process. And with assembly line process, CJ can enjoy high productivity. Since the manufacturing sequences are fixed and repetitive, production time can be shortened and the process can be managed efficiently so that the firm can take cost advantages. Also, identical sequences ensure constant level of product quality. However, there are some risks for CJ to apply assembly line. As life cycle of food products are getting shorter, it is required to respond to customer needs for variety of product line and fluctuations in demand. And we think CJ can handle this issue by optimizing the system into which more flexible line balancing is possible with smart factory. And there are other issues that single defect of a part or raw material cannot be repaired. Also, food manufacturing process produces lots of byproducts and waste. This problem can be addressed, for example, by developing upcycled products. Next, quality control. As a food production firm, CJ is on the front line of public health. So quality control is critical for CJ's reputation and in the end, its financial scope. However, sometimes unpredictable quality problems can be occurred even under advanced quality management system. So CJ needs to improve its quality management system to cover various unpredictable problems. Moreover, as attention of society moves toward diversity and sustainability, customers require more for firms to improve their design quality that complies customer needs for diversity and environmental sustainability. Then supply chain management. We specified CJ's supply chain into 5 pieces: planning, sourcing, manufacturing, delivering, and returning. Each of those stages are closely related and work together in order to deliver what CJ's value. And we found out some key factors that applied throughout the supply chain. One thing is AI, which is used for designing operation process and tracking raw material information in global MI room. And sustainability is CJ's material issue, and it is on the top consideration not only at sourcing stage but also at entire supply chain. CJ regards global expansion as its growth driver. And lastly, CJ cooperate with many suppliers and help them to grow together.
Bibigo belongs to HMR market, and the customers of HMR products are the people who want to eat meals easily at home. The customer can be classified by age and the number of household member, and each segment have different price sensitivity and the purchasing standards. The single household in MZ generation, household wives of multi-person household in the 30s, and the elderly men who live alone are the main potential segments of the Bibigo. Among those, the Bibigo's main target segment is the single household in the MZ generation, and its customer further extends to the global market. To target the customer, Bibigo is providing diverse, high-quality product at reasonable price through heavy investment in R&D. The two-track strategy of the original Bibigo and the premium line not only diversify the brand portfolio, but also improves financial performance by high profit margins. The Bibigo is promoting through both traditional and triple digital media, and influencers play an important role in forming brand image and customer loyalty. Since HMR is a daily product, Bibigo is increasing the accessibility by omni-channel strategy rather than highlighting the scarcity by limiting the distribution channels. When customers need HMR product, they first think of various brands including Bibigo and then actively evaluate the advantages and disadvantages of each brand. From the start, customers actively search Google. The zero moment of truth management is required. As the more brands are included in the consideration set, customers are less likely to choose Bibigo products. The brand may add different product lines so that the customer choose within the brand, not with the competitor's products. Each customer segment value different standards, therefore detailed segmentation strategies are required. Moreover, since customer experience information asymmetry, detailed explanation of the sales force will be effective. After the purchase, it is also important to manage customer complaints and the reviews. Bibigo became the #1 HMR brand by the following strategies. The brand first focused on setting the premium image of Wanggyoja and then extended its product line with the established brand image. They also overcame the disadvantages as a late mover by invalidating the existing market structure. The brand introduced new cultures like pouch pockets design of porridge and soup with solid ingredient. Porridge is the market with stable demand and products for all generations, so it is promising category for Bibigo. Among pouch-based packaging and plastic container packaging, Bibigo should focus on the pouch. The consumer of porridge value health and are less price sensitive, so premium product line can be used as a source of differentiation. However, the product lines are similar among the competitors, so that the unique tastes are required. Unlike the domestic market, porridge should not be prioritized in the global market because it has short product life and it is hard to differentiate with localization. Rather, frozen food markets such as patty like dakgalbi are more promising product categories.
From now on, I will explain the result of analyzing CJ's strategy. First, I'm gonna analyze food industry using the 5 boxes model. In this analysis, we especially focused on HMR industry, which is one of the major businesses of CJ Corporation's food division. The threat towards the entry of new competitors in the food industry is very high because there are few entry barriers. The capital requirements for starting a food business is very low, and the expansion of PB products of the distributors is expected to continue. The threat of substitutes are also very high. CMR is short for convenient meal replacement, which means food products that can be eaten immediately without heating or cooking. CMR is very similar to HMR in that there are no restrictions on time and place, and single-person households are the main consumers. Besides CMR, there are so many options for people to choose from instead of simple meals, such as fast food, delivery, and of course home-cooked meals. The suppliers of food industry can be defined as butchers, packaging companies, or farmers. Their bargaining power towards CJ is very low since the agriculture and livestock industries have lots of existing companies and there is basically no difference between their supplies. However, bargaining power of buyers towards CJ is not low as that of suppliers. As mentioned earlier, distribution companies are actively doing vertical integration into HMR market and end consumers are demanding higher quality and lower prices. Their switching costs are also very low. HMR market is highly concentrated market with Herfindahl index of greater than 3,000. Therefore, this figure means that the domestic HMR market has a low competitive industry structure. Based on this analysis, we concluded that the HMR market has a high profit potential. Next, I will explain the investment plan we made for CJ. CJ's food division is divided into three categories: domestic cooking ingredients, domestic processed food, and overseas processed food. For convenience of analysis, the domestic cooking ingredients business is limited to the oil product market and domestic processed food business is narrowed down to HMR industry. The overseas processed food market was analyzed using the US frozen pizza market. Since Green Bio and HMR is in star, CJ should invest more in these businesses to maximize their market share. It is desirable to do more investment in red and white bio businesses. They need more investment money because they need to aggressively increase market share to move up to star. The domestic cooking ingredients businesses can be the source of money needed for their investment. The overseas processed food business is now in dog, and divestiture can be the option for dog in general. But CJ's market share of the frozen pizza market in the US continues to grow, and if CJ achieves its target market share of late 20% by 2025, this business could be a new cash cow of CJ.
Now, I'd like to talk about CJ's innovation strategy. CJ is the company that invests the largest money in R&D among the domestic food industry. It established a research institute called CJ Blossom Park for internal R&D, and they conduct studies on both food and bio. By conducting internal R&D, CJ can reduce the interaction costs and develop their unique technologies with high access specificity. CJ also conducts aggressive R&D externally. They not only do M&A with other firms, but also invest through corporate venture capital, so they can reduce the existing competitors and enter the new market with less experience. Next is CJ's competitive advantages. As the grain is the main raw materials in that industry, agflation has a lot of influence on businesses in food industry. But the damage for CJ would be relatively small. Because with pursuing differentiation strategy, CJ has large brand value and high customer loyalty, so they can disperse the burden of increased cost. However, to maintain the competitive advantage, reducing the cost is also important. So we would like to suggest that reducing distribution cost by strengthening their online shopping mall and conducting backward integration to reduce the interaction cost of procurement of raw materials and gain the bargaining power as a buyer.